Hello everyone. Welcome to Học tiếng Anh với Joseph. We will try to build our vocabulary and practice pronunciation. Today, hôm nay, chúng ta sẽ đọc chuyện đầu tiên trong cuốn sách The Cat in the Box, A History of Science in 100 Experiments. I'm sure everybody knows this story. Chúng ta bắt đầu. Please follow me. The upward thrust of water. One of the first and most famous scientific experiments was carried out by Archimedes, who lived in the 3rd century BCE. Not much is known about Archimedes' personal life, but it seems that he was a relative of King Hieron II of Syracuse in Sicily. And after extensive travels, he settled down as the king's astronomer and mathematician. According to legend, King Hieron had a new crown, probably in the form of a laurel wreath, made for him from a bar of gold he supplied to the jeweler, to give as an offering to the gods in the temple. He suspected that the jeweler had kept some of the gold and mixed in a cheaper silver instead to make up the same weight for the crown. This would be a doubly serious matter. Not only would the king be cheated, but the gods might be offended at being given an inferior offering. So Hieron ordered Archimedes to find out if the crown was made of pure gold, without, of course, damaging it in any way. Archimedes had no idea how to do this, and worried about the problem for days. Then, when stepping into a bath filled to the brim, he noticed how the water slopped over the side as it was displaced by his body. The story has come down to us from Vitruvius, a Roman architect, in a book written 2 centuries after Archimedes had died. We do not know where he got it from, but this is where we get the image of Archimedes immediately realizing how to test the crown and becoming so excited that he ran out into the street, naked and wet, shouting, "Eureka! I have found it!" What Archimedes had realized was that the volume of water displaced from the bath was equal to the volume of his body immersed in the water. As silver is less dense than gold, if the crown were made of a mixture of silver and gold, it would have to be bigger than the crown made of pure gold in order to have the same weight. And he could measure the volume of the crown without damaging it by immersing it in water and seeing how much water was displaced. Nobody knows exactly how Archimedes carried out the experiment, but the most likely method is based on an observation he described in his book on floating bodies. There, Archimedes explained that the upward force, buoyancy, exerted on an object placed in water or any other fluid is equal to the weight of fluid that is displaced. This is now known as Archimedes' principle. And of course, the weight of water displaced will be proportional to the volume of water displaced. The obvious way to use this to test the purity of the crown, as Archimedes must have realized, would be to balance the crown against exactly the same weight of pure gold on a beam balance above the tank of water. Then the balance is lowered until the crown and the pure gold sample are immersed in the water, while the balanced arm stays above it. If both objects are made of pure gold, they will each displace the same volume and therefore the same weight of water, experience the same buoyancy force, and stay in balance. But if the crown is less dense than gold, it will have a bigger volume, displace more water, and be more buoyant than the pure gold. So the balance will tip down on the side of the gold. The beauty of this experiment is that you don't actually have to measure the volume of the crown or the volume of the water that it displaces. You just watch to see if the balance tilts. That, it seems, is exactly what happened. Archimedes did the experiment, or something very similar, and found that the jeweler had indeed cheated the king. About 5 centuries after Vitruvius, the story was retold in a Latin poem, Carmen de Ponderibus et Mensuris, which described the use of such a hydrostatic balance. And in the 12th century, a manuscript called Mappe Clavicula gave detailed instructions on how to make weighings in this way to calculate the proportion of silver in the adulterated crown. Archimedes' principle also explains why a ship made of steel can float. A solid lump of steel displaces a relatively small amount of water, much less than its own weight, and sinks. But if the same amount of steel is spread out in the shape of a boat, or even a simple bowl like a coracle, a larger volume of water is displaced, weighing more than the weight of the steel, resulting in a large enough upward force to make the boat float. Well, that is the end of the first story. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions on any terms or any words, any phrases, any sentence that you need more explanation, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I will include the PDF files for the 2 pages here. And thank you for your time, and see you in the next story. Bye for now.